Resilience and perspective. Are those two things related? Can you get better perspective with better resilience? And does this work in our personal lives and our relationships? What about at work? Well, my next guest works for a global telecommunications company and frequently trains on topics like these. Today, he's going to share his perspective on perspective, the role diversity plays in resilience, and some culturally nuanced observations. Diversity campaigner, thoughtfully funny, not your average German, Marcus Heidenreich. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. And thank you for being part of your show. Thanks very much.
Well, you said you're not 100% classically German. So can you explain to my 90% American audience what that means for you?
Yeah. So when we get intercultural trainings about collaboration with other countries' people, I always ask myself, what do they get taught about what is typical for Germans? So the other people also get intercultural trainings, and I always have the question, what do you learn about me in those trainings? And they always say they learn about hard communication. Germans would communicate in an unempathic, hard way, are always on time or try always to be on time. And it's much about performance, status, milestones, deliverables, and to bring a hard performance on the road. I would myself describe not as a typical German in that way. I'm not always on time. I don't communicate very hard. I feel some empathy indeed. And milestones and deliverables are not my first priority. And I always tell the people from the other countries, so we learn something about your categories, drawers where you're put in, and you learn something about our drawers. And that's as seeing it, it's valid for all people in the country. It can never be true. So when you take people out of the southern part of Germany and the northern part of Germany, if you would say them both, you are identical, you are the same, they would get angry to you and say, what? No, we have a completely different culture. We are completely differently educated. And even people who are living in the same city in different streets would tell you, what dare you to say us, we are identical? No. We are all individual, and that makes me bring to my view of the world. Don't put the people in too many drawers just because you're teach that people coming from there, looking like that, are male or female, whatever, behave this or this way. Learn to know the people on an individual level, communicate with the people. And when you look behind the face in the brain, you will see that there are so many categories in addition that are, let me say, when you take this iceberg model, that are below the waterline, you cannot see them at first. What you see are the obvious things. Perhaps from which country does anybody come from? Perhaps you see the gender, you see sexual identity, so you see color, you see age, you see physical things, physical disease, for example, or something else. When you look below the waterline, you try to figure out how people have their values, what is their purpose of life defined by themselves, what is their core belief for life, what are their experiences, how are they educated, how are they socialized, and so on. And what brought me to the idea to talk to Meredith today was in the headline of the podcast saying the curious introvert. And I thought by myself, hey, to be introvert or extrovert is also such a category below the waterline, speaking about not putting the people in those two extreme drawers saying, are you introvert or are you extrovert? I think we are no one is at 0 or 100. No one is on the black side, on the white side, on the old side, on the young side, on the female side, on the male side, in extremes. We are all anywhere in the middle of this scale at every dimension, and also over the time it's changing. So perhaps I also have extrovert days and introvert days, and perhaps from minute to minute, and perhaps also depending to which people I speak and with which people I communicate at the same time.
Well, and some people alter the things, some things people alter perspective. So like the benefit of being around people and not just, I love that you say drawer, because in the US we say box. So don't put me in the box, but you know what? I kind of like drawer. So there, I might change that one, but it's not just our language that we can choose to tweak, but it's also the perspective that we gain through talking with other people, which is part of the reason I love what you talk about as far as perspective and the value that it brings, because you may be, for example, more introverted than, personal example, that's me. Married my husband, he was more extroverted at that time. He's become a little bit more introverted, but he showed me through his life the benefits of being slightly more extroverted, of saying, yes, I'll go to that party, even if maybe you're a little tired. So he's really demonstrated to me how being an extrovert can benefit people. So I've adjusted myself to that. You give a lot of talks on diversity, obviously for your work. Do you feel like it's a benefit being in Europe, where you're shoulder to shoulder with so many diverse cultures, that you're able to draw experience and training from?
Absolutely. So it's an added value for the price and services you want to create as a company. So it's a clear economical advantage to make the products, to have a view on the products from as many perspectives as possible. And it's an added value for the people working on it, because they also get a broader view, a broader perspective on the world, on the thoughts of other people. It opens the minds. And as said, at the end, it's a clear economical advantage. When you have, let me call this product or service, you want to create the three-dimensional product, you look on this three-dimensional object from a maximum of views and perspectives, and you don't lose perspectives, means you also don't lose customer groups at the end to sell this product.
That's interesting. I think when people hear, oh, we're going to go have a diversity talk, and it's from a corporate stage, people feel like that may be very like theater. Like the company doesn't really care for diversity, but from what you're saying, there's real bottom line advantages. So I think my question is, from your perspective, being in these corporate situations a lot, what is the resistance to embracing diversity, even though it has very hard bottom line benefits?
Yeah, it's in the head of everybody, of every single person. We want to be around with persons that understand us. We want to be around with persons who are, let me say, quite similar to ourselves. And to open this mind and to see how many additional perspectives, how many additional added value we can also have. Speaking to people with completely other views helps us to understand the world. And as also your slogan says, we have the same slogan. Surprisingly, we have the same slogan as one of our guiding principles. It's stay curious and grow. To be curious means growth also on a personal level. And we all want to develop on a personal level. We want that. We come to Earth as children who are, by standard, curious. We want to learn new things. We want to learn new perspectives. We are open-minded to other people. And anywhere in our development, I don't know where in our education, we try to lose the curiosity. Why ever? And to get back this curiosity, and it means also to travel the world. Lots of education takes place when you communicate with other people in other cultures to understand the backgrounds, why some traditions are as they are, why some manners of behavior are as they are. And it can also make a lot of fun to exchange the experiences with other people and to understand how the world looks through their eyes. We always say, try to walk in the other person's shoes, and that makes a huge educational step. You see the world as the other person sees it. We can call it empathy. And our personal development is very much, from my point of view, depending on how much we are going outside, how much we are communicating with others. It's nice also to see what we talked about, the different dimensions of diversity, to read about them in books, to study them, to have intercultural trainings. That's all very interesting. And to go to universities, to have exams, everything okay. But that's all the theoretical part. And when you want to have the practical part, you have a lifelong learning, going outside, seeing other countries, seeing how really the life feels and smells for all the other people.
That's so true. I love what you said about it's natural for us to gravitate towards people who are similar to us. So I don't, people shouldn't feel bad about that. But as you said, when you live in a pattern of that, you miss out on all the fun and the perspective and all of the nuances that will really add value to your life. I love watching YouTube videos about different cultures and different places on the planet and what's going on and how people view things in different places. But for the listener or the viewer who doesn't have the opportunity to physically travel and go to those places other than YouTube, do you have any other hacks or recommendations that people can use to broaden their perspective through diversity?
So we have a big gift in this world called the internet. And yeah, we have the internet, we have media, and that's not only for playing games and to be weird. That can also make a lot of fun to be connected to people also over our electronical devices. And that can also make a huge education. It's at the end, it's communication. All what we do also on social media, all we do also trying to use the streaming platforms, maybe the broadcast stations, but the broadcast stations are at the moment a little bit overtaken by social media, by the streaming platforms and so on. And this huge gift we have to be connected, even and especially in the Corona crisis, where we have to have a physical distance to each other. There was a hashtag coming up in the Corona crisis, perhaps also in the US, that was called social distancing. Mm-hmm. And I immediately thought, no, please, no social distancing. Yes, we want to have a physical distancing to prevent the virus from spreading. But while we have a physical distancing, we can have a social connection. And the social connection brings me also to our next topic. You already said it in the intro, to resilience. So to be connected with other people over all borders, over all dimensions that could perhaps split us, overcoming those, and to be connected with other people on a bidirectional way, so a bilateral connection to other people, and also to feel a group feeling in our peer group, makes resilient. And this is not only esoterics, it's not only on a thought way, it's also quite chemical, because the love hormone, we call it serotonin, the love hormone, we call it oxytocin. I always mix them up. And the hormone we get from appreciation out of our peer group, the serotonin, have both the chemical ability to neutralize cortisols, and cortisols are a stress hormone. And if those are able to neutralize our stress hormone cortisol, it makes us stress resistant. We call it resilient. So to be connected to other people opens our minds, makes us more understanding for what diversity brings our society, ourselves, and also our economics, and makes us indeed resilient, makes us stress resistant. So let me call it, it's a wonder medicine.
I would agree. I love that. That's so true. Maybe we need to think of a new hashtag.
Social connection.
Oh, I like it. That's really good.
No, we find other cool hashtags also.
Okay. And you said that it, off mic, you said it specifically creates conflict resilience when you have cultural perspective. Can you dig into that a little bit more? Because I feel like we have a lot of conflict going on. You said, we have this wonderful thing called the internet, and it's good and it's bad because there's a lot of conflict on the internet right now, and we don't seem to be very resilient towards it. I know I could use some more resilience.
Yes, that's indeed the case. So scrolling through social media, especially Instagram, you always see the nice pictures of everybody else at the beaches with great food and so on, and you can get jealous. As I recognize the American way of abilities, from my point of view, there is a very much lower jealousy than we have perhaps in Europe.
You think that Americans are less jealous than Europeans?
Yeah, indeed.
Okay.
I guess so, because from my personal point of view, there is a lower jealousy about success, about money. There is an appreciation for people who are successful, who earned a lot of money and so on. From my personal point of view, perhaps in Europe, perhaps in Germany, I don't know if it's this region, we have a higher state of jealousy, especially because of success and money. And that's perhaps also the case on social media when you see other people having a good life. So you can say having a good life is success, is perhaps also a result of having money. You can afford it. And we have to have a very much lower jealousy about it. That makes social media bring us dopamines and bring us endorphins, bring us the egoistic, let me call them egoistic hormones, to see other people's success, money, good lives, good food, beaches, and so on, and thinking, I'm not worth being there. I'm not worth having such a good life. And that's so, small-minded thinking this. I also have this. When I see all the day great beaches and look out of my window and it's raining all the day, we have not August at the moment, we have April. So it's in Middle Europe, we have a lot of rain at this moment. So I could also get jealous, but I'm happy for the other people because I try to, what I said in the past minutes, I try to see the world and look to the world through the eyes of this other person. I try to feel how it could feel to walk in the shoes of this person. And I know exactly it's very great to walk through warm sand at the beach. That's great. But I know that this person also has the same problems as everybody else. This person is also struggling with anything, has problems with anything. You only see the one picture of the beach. You don't see the opposite of the picture, where perhaps the landscape is not so pretty. You don't see it. and you don't see in the soul of this person. Perhaps this person really has struggles and problems, that may be. And we all have struggles, and we all are posting in social media our best moments that we can take as photos. That's it. And so to get also clear with it, what you said, the cultural differences to take as conflict solutions. One of my really most important things I want to highlight about that is always try to see the world through the eyes of the other person. Always try to take the perspective of the other person and to understand, why is this person acting in the way that this person is acting at the moment? What's the deeper sense behind? What's the purpose that's driving this person? What's the values the person is following at the moment? And understanding this one level deeper than the obvious could help to prevent also from conflicts that create at the end violence. And that's what we don't want to have.
No, but I love that the perspective, especially social media perspective, can still be gained through social media, but through enhancing it with the perspective of empathy, through creating a broader, or as you said, deeper, more layered narrative to what could be going on in that person's life. Some of my friends give me a hard time about this, but I'll create narratives about the people around me so that I'm not mean to them if they're acting stupid. So if somebody cuts me off in traffic, I'm like, oh man, I bet he really has to pee. I hate that. That sucks. Hope you find a bathroom, bro. And so it helps me not, want to yell at them. But the same thing can be done on social media about whatever, you're having internal conflict about. So I really see the connection now, and how that middle glue, if you will, between observation, whether in real life and social, and increased resilience. The glue is empathy.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, take the social media platforms at the moment, especially in the times of our physical distancing, as there the communication takes place in real life. At the end, behind every profile, behind every account, there is a human being feeling something, feeling appreciation, feeling disappreciation, feeling whatever. So I always try to communicate with profiles like, imagine that's a real person you're communicating with. How would you communicate with this person in real life? When this person would be at your table, face to face, would I really communicate in such a, let me say, perhaps hard way? Or would I communicate also in this loving way? Would it be weird, or would it be violent, or how would it be in real life? Because, as I said, at the end, my imagination is over the social platforms and over the internet, the real life of communication takes place like in the real life. Yeah.
That's beautiful. So maybe humanize every situation as much as humanly possible.
Yeah.
Well,
but don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it. Well, as we wrap up, are there any more insights that you want to share with our audience about why they should continually seek out perspective, and why they should do it through diversity, when everything within their, I call it your lizard brain, the part of your brain that tried to keep you alive when you were a caveman, when your lizard brain is pushing you towards your tribe of comfort and familiarity? Why should people seek outside of that?
It has the three dimensions. The one dimension is the economic, the hard economic reason. You create at the end with companies, you work in, better products and more sellable products at the end of the day for your customers, when you have a broader view on those three-dimensional objects. The second is it's good for society, and it's at the end good for the direct people around you. You have everybody of us has let me call it a circle of influence. some circles of influence of some people are bigger, yours, and some people's circles of influence are smaller, perhaps mine. And if everybody behaves in their own circle of influence in an empathic way, looking to the other humans, we can, if we all do so, we can make the world a better place altogether.
I don't think I could have said it any better. That's so beautiful. I'm just so thankful for the internet that it connected us, because that's what I try to communicate through this show. So it's just so, I think, validating for my listeners and viewers out there who are trying to do the same thing. Because you really have to take an effort to go outside of your circles. Even the algorithm feeds you more of what it thinks that you want. So you tend to have this recycled messages coming up. But I'm so grateful that all the way in Germany that you happen to be working towards spreading this same message, and that we were able to connect through the internet. So thank you so much, Marcus. How can people stay in touch with you on social or online if they want to hear more of your positive messages?
So you will find me on nearly all the famous platforms that you can imagine. So on LinkedIn and Instagram, these are my two favorite ones. You also find me on Twitter. You also find me on Facebook also. Perhaps you see also this on YouTube. So if you look for my name, and perhaps Meredith makes me the big favor to put some links to my profiles in the notes of this podcast. Yeah, always try to get in contact with me. I will reply. I really will reply. Yes.
Yes, you do. And can you say "stay curious and grow" in German to wrap us up?
Okay. So I say two things. Stay curious and grow in German is bleibe neugierig und wachse.
Love it. I'm not going to try it, but I love it.
Yeah. And I want to say also a second thing. We talked much about to be socially connected. And my purpose at the end, also my purpose of life, and the purpose of my life and the purpose of my job are matching together. My purpose at the end is to connect people with each other and to be connected to people.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Marcus. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Yes, and thank you for being part of this show. And thank you for our contact, for our conversation. I really also very much enjoyed our pre-speeches together.
Me too. Awesome. Hey, you're still here. That's awesome. I hope to see you next week too. I talk with the most interesting people that you've probably never heard of. Most of them are paradoxical and bring an opportunity for you to grow as a person. So if you like bright, meaningful entertainment, be sure to have a look around, hit subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications.